If you want to be a MAGA Republican, and honestly, I don't know why you would, but if you did, there is one thing you have to embrace above all else, and that is hypocrisy. What you say has to run contrary to everything that you do. And of course, the place we see the most hypocrisy is on the Fox propaganda outlet. And we saw that from a couple of places today, both with Elon Musk and one of our new least favorite hosts in Will Cain. But thankfully, both of them were shut down to their faces, and two great takedowns that we're going to get into from the United States Senate. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way, and it really does mean a lot to me. Now, before we get into Elon getting shut down and Will Cain, unfortunately, we have to hear the nonsense that Elon said that started this all right here.
Yes, it is remarkable that there is so much violence. People have burnt cars, they've fired bullets into dealerships, they've scratched swastikas into Teslas of the innocent people that they're just going about their lives. They've done nothing wrong. And Tesla's done nothing wrong as a company. And so I find it ironic and incredibly hypocritical that the same Democrat politicians who would want to throw someone in prison for 20 years simply for watching things at January 6th, but not actually doing any violence, you don't hear a single word from them about the actual violence happening against Tesla. What incredible hypocrites they are. It's outrageous. I mean, really, this is fundamentally a case of terrorism. It's wide-scale domestic terrorism with the purpose of intimidation, and it's harming innocent people. It's really terrible. And
I am tired of the victimhood, this victim complex from the richest man in the world. Oh, boo-hoo, people don't like me. I'm taking away food from hungry children and cutting Social Security. Why is everyone not my #1 fan? I don't know. Maybe it's because you're constantly stealing our tax dollars to fund cars that explode. And so when those cars do explode and you want to blame it on us, Elon, I'm not really hearing it. And that was exactly the topic of conversation between Will Cain and Democratic Congressman Glenn Ivey that led to a pretty nice shutdown of a pretty bad Fox host.
And now that he's gone and he's in El Salvador, the government has the temerity to argue that we can't make a decision about whether he should come back because he's out of our jurisdiction. He's in El Salvador. So it's kind of like the orphan complaining that he's had a troubled childhood because he killed his own parents. I mean, bring him back, give him the chance to have the hearing he should have had before he was sent over there, because that is what American law requires. And if he should go over,
Ivey,
then deport him. But if not, he should stay here.
If I might, I'm curious about your perspective on this. There is a court that has determined he was an illegal immigrant. They did, in fact, grant him temporary protective order because of his claims of asylum in El Salvador. And the Trump administration has admitted that it was an administrative error to deport him back to El Salvador. Right. But we're trying to, together, you and I, determine what is true justice here. And I'm curious, if he had been deported in this past week, not to El Salvador, but to Honduras, would that have been a problem for you? That wouldn't have been a violation of that court order. That court order specifically was about El Salvador. So I'm curious, if he had been deported to Honduras or Nicaragua, would you today hold the same opinion you hold about him being deported to El Salvador?
Well, I don't know about the TPS issue with respect to Honduras or Nicaragua. I think the deportation issue overall, though, appears to have been in violation of what the original judge said should happen. In fact,
I believe that's because the order said specifically he couldn't. I think that's specifically because he had an asylum claim from El Salvador and he couldn't be deported to El Salvador. The reason I ask you, Congressman, about Nicaragua or Honduras is whether or not what you're really doing is looking for justice according to the law. And I respect if that's what you're talking about. If you've truly been a congressman who's been faithful to the concept of due process throughout the Biden administration and whoever is president, then I respect that. I respect that. But if you think justice is passionately arguing for this man's return to the United States, and I didn't see that same passion. I know you didn't go to the joint session of Congress, but your colleagues didn't stand up when the president honored Jocelyn Nungaray. So I see a disconnect on this passion. Passion for an illegal immigrant, yes, an illegal immigrant deported, no sense of quantity of passion for the victims of illegal immigrants here in the United States.
How about this? The law is supposed to be dispassionate. That's why we have independent judges make these decisions based on the evidence and the law that's presented to them. That was circumvented in this case. So, I mean, I guess we can go through hypotheticals about what if he'd been sent here or there. But as you said, the government admitted they did it incorrectly. So just bring him back. And they can bring him back.
Well, I'm not sure. Just because it was executed incorrectly, I don't think just because it was executed incorrectly, the logical conclusion is to bring him back to the United States. He could be deported to any number of countries, as I point out. He could be deported from the United States, which I believe is justice.
An American judge has to make that determination, right? So bring him back. They've admitted they did it incorrectly. They admitted they made a mistake. Bring him back. If what you're saying is correct, present it in court and move forward. But I'll note that the brief that I just read that the government filed doesn't make any of those arguments that you just made. So based on the law, I'm not sure that what you're saying is correct, and I'm not sure that the decision that the judge would make is what you think it would be. Let's just bring it back and find out.
I'm going to return to that in just one moment, okay? Here's what White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt had to say today.
The administration maintains the position that this individual who was deported to El Salvador and will not be returning to our country was a member of the brutal and vicious MS-13 gang. That is fact number one. Fact number two, we also have credible intelligence proving that this individual was involved in human trafficking. And fact number three, this individual was a member, actually a leader of the brutal MS-13 gang, which this president has designated as a foreign terrorist organization. Fact number four is that foreign terrorists do not have legal protections in the United States of America anymore.
Congressman, it doesn't sound like that justice would require bringing back this individual to the United States, much less all the individuals, by the way, that Congressman Raskin asked for.
I got to say, if those facts are correct, present them in court. Give a judge a chance to evaluate them. Saying it at a press conference is not the same thing as saying it in court under oath. Bring him back. Again, let's do it the right way. We have a legal system that works very, very well on these kinds of issues. When we get them to court, let's use it.
And again, I think he has had his day in court. He has had due process. The question is not whether or not an error was made, but whether or not the error has to be rectified by bringing him back to the United States. By the way, I appreciate what you said about.
He did not have a day in court for what the United States just did. That's why
he's an illegal immigrant. Congressman, he's an illegal immigrant. That in and of itself.
What they said is we don't have jurisdiction over it anymore. Not that he had due process.
Yeah, because he's in El Salvador.
Yes. El Salvador.
Yes, because he's in El Salvador. Congressman, he's an illegal immigrant. That in and of itself is a deportable crime in my book, and I think in many Americans' book. But I like what you said about the law being dispassionate. I do.
How about the judge he appeared before? What about his book? I appreciate what you say, but you don't have a robe or a gavel. You're not a judge. These things should be decided in court. When they picked him up in 2025, give the judge from 2019 a chance to review it and say, okay, you should send him out or not.
I would love to talk to that judge.
Immigration judge. But use the court process that we have. It's not too much to ask that well, let me say the law in the way they do.
Two final things. I would love to talk to that judge about a temporary status rolls over for 6 years, and also how it is that you can claim asylum as a gang member when any rival gang could be a threat to your life at any given time. Every gang member across South America and Central America could claim asylum because they have rival gangs. But that's not for you. That's for a judge. I do like what you said about the law should be dispassionate, but you're a congressman, and I'm a media member. There's no such requirement for us when we analyze these issues for us to be dispassionate. I want to see the same passion from you on those issues of the crimes of illegal immigrants as you do for this error when it comes to illegal immigrants. That's what I hope for you, Congressman.
I prosecuted the crimes of illegal immigrants for 8 years. I locked up more people in my day than you ever did. So don't lecture me about not being passionate about prosecuting illegal immigrants to do something wrong.
No.
I've done it. You haven't. Back up.
Today, Congressman, you write the laws. Congressman, today, you don't prosecute the laws. You write the laws.
In fact, I did a joint prosecution with Rod Rosenstein of MS-13 when he was the U.S. attorney and I was the state's attorney. I've done this before. You have not. Don't sit there and lecture me about being passionate about people who break the law. I've done it. You have not.
Congressman, I think you took that a little more personally than intended, but I think that what I'm talking about is not your past, but your present, where we apply passions today in our current jobs, not our former jobs. Congressman, I have to leave it here. I've gone way over time, and I'm always willing to do so. I appreciate the back and forth. You're welcome here anytime. Thank you so much.
The idea somehow that it is Democrats now who, in their action of peacefully protesting Elon Musk, engaging in the free market capitalism that Republicans claim to love, when in fact it's actually corporate communism, when Elon Musk is getting his billions of dollars that he stole from the FAA or is being unchecked at the DOD, that's what they actually like. But when we vote with our feet or we vote with our paychecks and we don't want to buy his exploding swastika car, somehow that's some huge issue. But I'm tired of hearing this narrative that it's Democrats causing all this violent protest in mass. I'm in a building right now where I think Republicans might have done just a smidge of that not too long ago. That is what their party is. That is what they've always represented. And I am tired of hearing anything that runs contrary to that actual truth. And speaking about truths of Elon Musk that he certainly doesn't like facing, Jessica Tarlov threw one at him and one of the best takedowns I have seen of Elon, because he just kind of squirmed out of it. Well, he didn't squirm out of it, but he was certainly panicking in this clip right here.
I wanted to talk to you about what Doge has been doing. So you've been making cuts to a lot of the agencies that have open investigations and regulatory battles with your companies. At the same time, you continue to get billions in government contracts. Tesla gets billions in subsidies. How do you explain that to the American people?
Well, everything that Doge does is an open book. So I think the most transparent the most transparent organization in government ever. Every single Doge action is listed on the Doge.gov website. It's also listed on the X handle. So if anyone has a concern about any one of those actions, they can bring that up, they can raise that. And I do want to say, like, sometimes we make a mistake. Nobody bats 1,000. We will at times make a mistake, we'll act very quickly to correct it. I am under such an extreme spotlight, so much scrutiny, that it's literally impossible for me to get away with anything nefarious. And obviously, nor do I wish to. So this is a case where we have radical transparency. We're actually willing to admit that we do make mistakes. Often people are not willing to admit they make mistakes, but we are. But we want to emphasize we fix them quickly, and we're trying to do the right thing for the American taxpayer, for the American people. And I think history will be the judge that what we've done here and what we're doing is a very good thing for the strength and future of America.
Now, I was watching The Five live as this clip happened, and I was probably as shocked as you are right now that Fox even let Jessica talk to Elon Musk. I was sure that they were just going to cut it after the fourth host kind of threw their softball question at him, but thank God that there is some voice of reason at Fox, which is not only the occasional appearance of a Democrat, but Jessica Tarlov asking Elon Musk, why do you feel so comfortable stealing our tax dollars at the same time that you're stealing Social Security? Of course, he didn't have a good answer because he's corrupt and a criminal and should be called out every opportunity that we have. And so we're going to keep doing that on this show. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video. And if you stuck around to the end, you can drop a blue heart in the comments. Until next time, I'll see you soon.